we essentially want to democratize content automation. This is a concept that's kind of come to the forefront in the last few years. And the idea is to let creative people be creative and let the machine do repetitive menial tasks, right? That's a big goal. And so our offerings really bridge the gap between data and creativity. And by doing so, we can redefine workflows for people, particularly in post-production, but also in motion design. Some of our customers, we're actually a little bit over 200 enterprise customers. I've broken them down into about 5 segments just so we can understand where they're at, the verticals. A lot of them come in, are in marketing and advertising. Then we have some in the tech space, developers who need automatic video created for their apps and platforms. And then we have broadcast and sports. They're sitting on a lot of data and they have a lot of content needs to produce content. And so our software helps these companies create content automatically by merging data into their composites. And so really what the problem is that there's a lot of data out there. It's just data overload. There are production deadlines. And then, as we all know, video is a very specialized skill to acquire. It's not easy to do, especially when you want to create great content. So lack of know-how. All of these things combined really create a need to automate a lot of the workflows that are required to produce content. And it comes out in statements about how marketing is always bothering the creative people, or the need to send personalized videos, or the need to create a batch of 1,000 pieces of content. And so our software effectively solves this problem. So one of our customers is DraftKings. You can see here, these are just straight up one-ups that they use for display ads and their social channels. They build the template once, they use our software to merge data that they're sitting on, and then they get the content output. They don't have to do double click. They don't have to find the file. Everything is in an automated system. Another interesting space is the Web3 and NFT collectibles. This is kind of a thing that was hot about 2 years ago, but it's still actually being done. We have this customer, Momental, who basically creates NFTs with our software using data that's merged into templates, and then they tokenize that on the blockchain. The NFL was a client of ours, and we were approached by them to create a Slack chatbot interface that anybody like a marketing intern can interact with and get video content that's on brand. So they were able to go through a series of steps in a Slack chatbot. Our software on the server is creating the video and sending it back through the bot so that the person can actually post it wherever they want. This is a performance marketing agency. They do a lot of ads, A/B testing. So our software is really great for when you need to create a lot of different iterations and test how those iterations work out there in the market. And then, of course, e-commerce uses a lot of video. Ashley Furniture uses our software used our software on the back end to create this web interface where users for their franchisees would submit the video data for the video that they needed on a web interface, and then they would get content delivered to their website. So what is driving all of this magic? It's a product that Dataclay has been focused on for the last 10 years. It's called Templater. It's actually an extension for Adobe After Effects, so that makes it really accessible. We targeted that group, market, because we wanted to kind of democratize, as I mentioned earlier, this notion of content automation. So this is an extension, and it comes with a panel and an effect. And the way it works is, when you want to create a data-driven video campaign, you create a composition in After Effects, and you apply a special effect to the layers that you want to change for every iteration. So when the data merges, it knows where to map to. So after you do that, you can link a data source, for example, a Google Sheet that lives in the cloud. It could also be a database. It doesn't have to be a local file, but it can be. But in this example, you can have a live connection, and once it's connected, you can then map all the different data points to various places in your composite. Once that's done, you can actually preview the data, how it's actually going to look within the environment that you know so well of After Effects. So again, I have to stress this is a live data connection within After Effects. You can preview it, so it's great for creative directors to make decisions about their design. Now, once you've figured out how the data maps and gets injected, you can actually output at mass scale. So if you need to create 1,000 videos, no problem. If you need to create 10,000 videos, no problem. So the application will take the data that's structured, whether it's from, again, a spreadsheet or an API, and it will output multiple iterations based on that data. Now, one of the biggest things that we noticed when we first released the software is that a lot of our customers want to change assets, the footage assets in their composite. The problem is that footage has an inherent duration, so we developed a technique that we call time sculpting that enables artists to define what layers should do when footage duration changes from one iteration to the next. So you can see here the layers are actually reacting to the software replacing footage elements. So that's a patented technique or a patented solution that we have, and the user sets up rules for each layer to determine how those layers should actually operate. You can see here, these are just examples of what each rule does. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but you can do things like layer shift, trim layers, you can stretch layers depending on other layers, what other layers are doing. So it's kind of intelligent in that way. Now, the fully automated way to get content created is something users enable something that we call bot, which is short for robot. When they enable it, it effectively watches a special property in the data called render status. And if it's ready, that means that Templator is going to pick up that line, that data set, and it's going to just process it. So you can see here, this bot is on, it's doing its thing, new content is being created. So the user does not have to be in front of the actual machine to do all of that work, okay? So once you have got that concept down, once the user has that idea down and they can start developing a system. They can take After Effects and our software, deploy it to a server, and then that sits in the background. We have another product that we call Q, which is a SaaS-based product that stores versioning data inside of this database. And you can use no-code platforms like Zapier or Make or something like that to get content from, or data from anywhere right into After Effects that's just waiting for content to be made. It's just sitting there as a daemon, and as new data arrives, new content is kicked out. Now we have a new product that is in beta right now that's going to be released this quarter that's called Projector. This takes the assets en masse and it sends them to storage providers and streaming providers. We have an integration with Vimeo right out of the box. It's a fantastic tool to get your content created automatically and distributed. So you can see here, sorry for the audio, you can see here that the Vimeo URLs are showing up exactly where each row is. So once the video is done being created, it gets uploaded, and you can all of a sudden use your favorite marketing automation tool to get links to the right individuals. So it's pretty powerful in that regard. When you step back and you look at the whole system, basically at the center of it is this reversioning tool called Templator. Then you've got the data management tool that hosts the data, and then you've got the projection tool that actually sends it to where the assets need to go. So now the thing about automation is that when you're creating with automatic processes, there's a whole quality check thing that needs to go on, right? You're not gonna go and just batch render 1,000 assets and expect them to be perfect. So usually what happens is once the assets are posted or published, you're gonna have a QA step, and that once those flags are done, then your audience or the specific people or the locales can see it. So in terms of the future, where we're headed is we realize that it's not enough to automate the creative, because once the creatives understand, once the artists, the motion graphics artists and the post people, they understand this automation, the big question is, well, what about the data? It takes a lot of time to gather fake data, to structure fake data. And so what we've done is we're kind of getting into this world of data synthesis for the purpose of creative, so that you'll enter in a prompt into something like a spreadsheet, and the synthesis will actually create the data for you, structured, and it will map directly to the composite with our tool. So this is one way we're handling it. So in this case, we're just showing, give me some scores from the NBA from last season, and it's not real. I have to stress, this is not real data, it's synthetic data. And it's really, we're kind of positioning it as data scaffolding for the purpose of data-driven communication, okay? So another place where we're fitting Gen AI into automation is by assigning prompts to specific elements within the composite. So the layers themselves will have a prompt stored inside of it. Then when our reversioning tool automatically changes the composite and gets new data, instead of getting it from a spreadsheet that somebody created, it will hit up OpenAI or ChatGPT or Claude and put it in. So right now, what we've got is support for text, because it's quite easy. It's a very fast turnaround to hit the Gen AI platform and get the data back. We'll be supporting images before the first half of the year ends. So that's a much more challenging project, but you'll be able to say on a footage layer, I want this to be a photo of a beach with a dog catching a ball. And every time the templating software changes the job, you'll have a different, slightly varied image of what the prompt is. So that is effectively what we're all about at Dataclay. So I really appreciate your time and attention. If you have any questions, it looks like we do have about 2 minutes. I'm happy to answer. Okay, all right.
Anybody?
No?
I have a question.
Sure, yes.
You right-brained or left-brained? No.
I-
Did you come to data to explore the creative process?
That's a great question. So I started in film school.
Okay.
I went to film school and I got involved into CG. I eventually landed in motion graphics. I got into studios where I was being pushed and prodded by producers to create many iterations for various local markets based off like one ad. I saw an opportunity because data is proliferating, it's getting out crazy, and producers did not have a way to cope with that.
Yeah.
They just did not have a way. And so because I was in that world of production, we built this extension for a very common tool that a lot of people know.
But you thought through every aspect. I mean, you guys got that whole synthetic generation of data. So, I mean, it's just kind of, there wasn't a thing that wasn't thought through. And if you miss the beginning, the use cases, I mean, DraftKings is pretty prolific.
Yeah.
So you can handle volume.
Yes,
and,
volume, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have, just to be clear, we do have customers who maybe generate 1,000 videos per month. Some of our customers are generating 10,000. Some of them are even more. And the way they handle that is they install the software on multiple machines that are looking at the same data source. And different jobs get assigned to different machines. So that's effectively how you can scale very quickly with this
So you have to redo their whole workflow, like basically from...
Yeah, I mean, some of it. I mean, again, the whole Adobe ecosystem makes it a little bit easier for them to approach.
Got it.
So that's nice.
Can we hear it for Arie? That was pretty amazing, I gotta say.